It's the MVWF podcast with your host, an out-of-character Brandon Bones. Well, maybe sometimes I'll be in character. We shall see. And it's the podcast, folks, following up here from last week's nice conversation that we had with the Mighty Fusion, where we discussed the ins and outs of e-fetting, character creation, 2K26 and its history, and of course, pushing your own character. The fact that he is e-fetting famous now. Our boy Fusion, with his somewhat viral Absolutely No Chance. Yeah, we're doing a mic test. We're doing a mic test. That's right. We're doing a mic test. We're doing a mic test. Yeah, we're doing a mic test. We're doing a mic test. That's right. We're doing a mic test. We're doing a mic test. Yeah, we're doing a mic test. We're doing a mic test. That's right. We're doing a mic test. That's right. Traveling through time. Shit's getting trippy. All right. Well, today, what we're going to do here is I'm just going to wait a moment here, see if anyone happens to pour in for the video tutorial here that we're going to be doing today. I have had some ups and downs with making videos for both Titantrons and the occasional intro video. I mean, it's had a couple of different uses in the 2K history that I've had since 2K18, which seemingly was like the world event that's really kind of like kicked e-fetting in the ass, it seems, or at least it seems as though that the e-feds that I follow anyway all seem to have gotten that kick in the ass like around 2K18. And where things really seem to finally come together. I had been dipping my toe in the water with some of these 2K games over the years. Sure, I bought 2K13 and I bought 2K14, and after that I basically kind of given up on it because those games I did not feel were strong enough to carry the burden of performative e-fetting. Pause. All right, so video making. Let's take a look at, first, some of the things that I've already done, right? So there you can see the video that was at the beginning of last week's show where Brandon Bones had gone up to the new MVWF World Champion, right? Right? Get the little graphic earlier today. And all I've really got is the animation. I can't really do anything with the camera angle or anything like that. But you can see how it kind of faded up. So I did use 2 effects on that bottom line, and then the MVWF logo hits before the show starts. Again, very simple. A 16-second, so I've probably got about maybe 20 seconds out of it, or maybe 1891, as I look at it right here. Again, interesting little video, whatever it's stuff, and again, it continues the storyline. I managed to actually get something out of the cutscene stuff that actually made sense, that I could actually use it on the show for the flash in the pan that it really was. I was really only on screen for, again, the 1891 right there, but it did manage to get something going here and stuff like that, something that I could visually show on screen. And here's the thing, I mean, this is probably your biggest limitation in all of these 2K games. And that is the fact that your ability to go and do those extracurricular kind of angles, storyline details, something to show visually on screen so that the viewer can easily follow it. Remember, the biggest challenge you have when you first start your eFed is that you don't have an audience. And anybody that does even happen to come across your show is going to have a bit of a difficult time following things because they have no idea of your history and your lore and the reason why these characters on screen are fighting, if there even is a reason. And you on commentary and stuff are forced to basically break the rule of you always show but don't tell, right? So and there's certain things that you can do in the theater of the mind or whatever to kind of stimulate people's imagination to expand these ideas, but those things are really much more likely to get your viewer invested in your show if what's leading them to that is something that they're actually visually receiving on screen. That sounded very eloquent. But again, as you can see here and stuff, fades up from black or whatever, which I think it was already in black when it started. So I might use again, this is the filter, the transition part right here. All right. Now there's another filter line where you could put you can make it all look kind of like you're looking through like a yellow lens. But so yeah, the fade up thing was actually kind of nice, even though it doesn't necessarily fade up like perfectly. Maybe there's a little more perfectly from black than I was giving it credit for there. Right. And then what I wanted was kind of like a smash cut here at the end. Boom. And then the MVWF fades out of the darkness or whatever and comes into your screen or whatever, as kind of like this part right here was supposed to be kind of like blowing out the candle on the birthday cake. It's not really the point, but it's directing you, this is the MVWF telling you the story, right? And so you will direct, the viewer will connect their attention, to what you're doing, to your branding and whatnot. As much as I hate advertising, I probably wouldn't have been all that bad at it. All right, so here you can see Cobra Kai. I think this is one that I might end up having to delete and revisit here, just to show you again some of the things that I've managed to accomplish here. It took a while to get some Cobra Kai scenery, like graphics and things like that, right? So yeah, see, I don't like that with the white borders there. But the Cobra Kai Titantron has always had the circle flame and the Cobra Kai logo kind of like wreathed in it. Right? It doesn't exactly fit right, but I think I've got a better graphic for that now, so I can fix that. And then boom, Cobra Kai. That's a little bit different. I think that might used to be the Cobra logo right there. Right. Again, not as good as some of the ones I've made in the past and stuff, but I'm definitely going to have to go back and revisit this. We're going to make something original here today. Maybe I already have. Okay, let's see how this one came out instead. and see if I follow the general principle of... Alright, so... See how, of course, I made it very short. Yeah. Nope, this one definitely sucks. Yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of that. This is one I definitely wanted to highlight right here because this was one of the more innovative ideas that I managed to pull off here. Hey, Beastie. That's right, we're doing videos and Trons today and stuff, kind of going over what I've done so far and what you can do to make some of these things work. I know that you've been kind of experimenting with your videos lately, and honestly, I'm in a lot of I have a lot of admiration for what you've managed to pull off, because one of the things that one of the opinions, and I've shared this with you, Beast, before, is that the videos can't be that long, but man, you seem to have squeezed everything into it that you possibly can, especially with the cutscenes and stuff like that. That stuff is fucking boss, man, right? So, anyway, this is one where you can see in the small graphic there that is, I think, maybe Dragon Lee's Titantron, and I clipped a piece of that. And then incorporated it into my Dragonheart theme. This is the Dragonheart NWA Titantron here. So let's watch it. All right, so there you see the Dragonheart, right? So it's already customized because it's got all the dragons flying around here, and I managed to repeat it a couple of times, right? But I got the graphics over it and stuff, and cut out all of the references to any WWE characters, and managed to really get something that kind of came across kind of smooth. I think the one thing I don't like about this here, though, is that, first off, you can see I think I just repeated the same thing twice, right? And I do have 2 more spots over there, but check this out, right? So I think the thing that I use for Dragonheart, so there's like the throbbing flash, and then the NWA, the forward glide right there, right? I use that twice, right? So if I'm going to use that graphic there, I should probably change these 2 animations right here so that they don't match these 2, just to give it a little bit more less visual repetitiveness. And you can see I also have another layer here. All right, so folks, if you aren't familiar here, you've got essentially the bottom layer, the middle layer, and the top layer, right? So this would be your background, this would be something you could put in the middle, and this could be something you could put over the top of both of them. Right, so ultimately you can see that the dragon animation is the bottom layer here, right, and that the Dragonheart and the titles, the names, the words, and letters that are up there are the second layer. And I could probably still put something else over it, and I mean, if I used another video, it would just block out the entire fucking thing or whatever and stuff, right? But some of these video clips that are up here are kind of like semi-transparent, right? So if you use like one of these alpha breaks here, all that area that's red back there, if I put this over the Dragonheart, you would see past the broken glass right there, and you would see all the dragons moving around. Same with this one, right? As the glass, I think I used this for the EWF video. You see, as the glass breaks, then it would basically reveal the bottom layer if this was like the middle or the top layer. I mean, I know how to make the scenes, Beast. The problem with that stuff has been that when it comes time to save these videos, oftentimes the bigger the video I try to make, or the more ambitious I try to get with it, I find that, like, and again, I don't know if I've really had this problem on 26 so far, so maybe there's been some improvements and I'm just being, kind of knee-jerk reactionary to it, because of all the other games that look so similar and seem to perform in a very similar way, that I would assume that this is just one of those things they've never gotten around to fixing or whatever and stuff. But things honestly do improve. It doesn't ever seems to make you think that what improvements that they do, you don't see it on screen really. You have to kind of like trip and fall into the hole to find out, oh, hey, there was a safety here that, this is the thing that's actually working now, Because it's not like they've changed any of these visuals here. Like this whole menu of stuff is the same shit that you could probably still get like on 2K18. All right, where was I? Okay. But anyway, this is one I definitely like a lot for the most part. It does have some flaws to it that I would definitely change here. Because again, I think the gold color with a dragon always being in the background right there and stuff kind of makes it's not bright enough. I think it's too dark a gold color or whatever. But I'll get back to fixing all this stuff later here. This is, of course, the standard MVWF intro video. I always like that. And this is actually the thing that actually taught me about the layering thing and how to employ it. Because you can see the cityscape there, right? And I used to like to put, like, the big exploding plume of flame back there, whatever, right? But you can see I've got like it's like the electric city here. And that's 3 layers right there. It's got the electricity stuff in the back. It's got the city in the middle, and it's got the MVWF logo. Very simple, right? It kind of resembles like one of those shots you would see during a WWE pay-per-view when like, you know, it's kind of late in the show, whatever. There's nobody outside the building, so it's safe to send a cameraman out there to go, like, get a shot on the street while they transition between, like, you know, to take a breath or something between maybe a big hot match or whatever and a match that they, you know, would still like to get over. It's not just a bathroom match or whatever, right? But sometimes, you know, MLW does, like, cityscape shots, which is obviously, like, city footage they bought. Like, it's not like they had like a live camera or whatever that was like scoping the city the way WWE might put, like, or the NFL for that matter would put a camera on like a blimp, you know, and then you would see like a topographical, you know, view of the stadium or something like that, you know, a cityscape sort of thing. And that's what I was kind of going for here, even though it's the intro video instead. But again, it's pretty smooth. This was the first one I always make because at least I have something to put in place of if you are a character that hasn't gotten a Titantron, you know, specifically tailored to them, then I can always put that on the Titantron because again, it's one more thing that if I'm using a Titantron to show, you know, erase WWE from the game as much as possible, and you know, still have something on screen visually representing the MVWF. Now, here's the Match Mania video, and the graphic here was made by Endo Girl, and kudos to her, because she made me 2 different versions of this graphic, one that had something of a background to it, and one with a transparent background, with, you know, just a blackened background, right? All right, so there's the MVWF, the stars are falling, Match Mania. See, now this one's different in the respect that, like, all right, so in the top layer here, we've got not 1 but 2 different graphics that change from one another. So we've got the Match Mania graphic, and then there's the MVWF transparent graphic, right? And it kind of switches back and forth. Now at 12 seconds, 0.3 seconds here. Gosh, you know, based off of what I've seen Beast doing with his, I mean, I feel like I probably could have used a lot more of this timeline on here. I'm feeling like maybe this program is maybe a little bit stronger than it used to be. It would be cool if you were able to have custom Trons in custom arenas. Have I not been having my Trons work during my shows in my custom arenas? This one might be probably the best of the bunch. This one has a very cool, smooth transition in it. This is Jeremy's Titantron. And Jeremy is a DJ, right? So I've got, as you can see, I got five pieces of material here that I can use All right. Now, I do a lot of, speaking of the timestamps here, you can see I do somewhat, in some cases here, try to get things timing-wise kind of close to one another or whatever. I mean, because sometimes before the background image changes, you might want the foreground image to get out of the way so that you can view the transition. So sometimes you might shorten it up over here where it's a little longer right there. And so there's like a little bit of a gap so that it goes away for a second. And then you can always just use a transition to make it kind of smooth, like to, to dissolve or to fade to black or something like that. But anyway, here's how it goes, right? So we got that. And then boom, between the two big images, the two DJ images, you've got that that stage light thing that's in the background there. And then of course at that point it just loops back to the beginning and stuff like that. So keep that in mind as well. Is that if you do something at the beginning of the video and at the end of the video, realize that it's going to loop back to the beginning, and then maybe that sort of connectivity or whatever could be something that you could use creatively. All right, here's the EWF logo video. And when I was creating this one for the rivalry, when you're assembling something like this, you're almost in. You have to have kind of like marketing brain for this sort of thing. So it's like, here it is. It's the rival company. We're doing this thing here. How does the EWF look through an MVWF lens, right? And so you wanted to just kind of say something about him, right? And it was kind of like breaking through the glass, as because again, like when these videos would be seen, because it's not like Beast has them on his shows. EWF is seen as kind of like breaking through walls, forbidden doors, if you will, or whatever. So I thought that the EWF logo breaking through that and being on the other side of this kind of like represented that in a way, But again, also a very short one, and you can see how conservative I was being with that, considering that there really wasn't much to that video, whatever. Because again, I've obviously been operating from an older point of view that may be a little outdated, because they may have made some of the technical improvements to the video creator here that might support a larger, more elaborate video. Speaking of the EWF feud here, this one I felt like I got a little bit of ambition in me and stuff like that, but obviously you can see I only really used like one layer, right? So I had 3 images, right? So I've got the MVWF logo, I got the EWF logo, which is a little off kilter, and then I've got, boom, our logos, his logo, event logo, we're fighting each other. I mean, and it does the thing, right? I don't know if the transitions between what I was going for here was kind of like a heartbeat effect, right? It's like bump, bump. This is why your heartbeat is increasing. I suppose I probably could have made them a little bit shorter, right? So like here in the time, you can see the timestamps that are on each individual part here. I was trying to get them as close together, or somewhat as close together as possible, and I probably could have even shortened it up even a little bit so that it was like, right? Because maybe if I had 2 more of the EWF, well, I mean the logo's there. To kind of give it it was like the heartbeat was speeding up, kind of effect. But instead, it's just like bump, like one consistent droning beat. So, Beast, you're saying, so you're saying like in the custom Trons that you've made are not working on the Titantron when people are doing their entrances during your shows? Because I swear my videos are generally working, even when I'm using custom arenas. All right, now here's the MVWO logo. This one is one that I've been making for a little while now. And as you can see, it's very simple. Fade up to, yeah, this one. That right there that's the hard part right there, because there you can see there's two different things going on right there, right? There's the box, and then there's the MVWO letters and stuff, and that's what this part is right here. And so I ended up having to fit that in and time it right with these two right here and make sure they were exactly 2.6, right? So that they meshed with each other, so that they traveled at the same speed to generate the actual MVWF logo. Now, you might be asking yourself, why didn't because I just thought of it just now, why don't you just make the MVWF logo with the fucking square around it? And make that a transparent logo like the MVWF logo, that blue MVWF logo, which, yeah, and then they would both travel together. Yeah, sometimes I just gotta make things fucking harder for myself. You see, this tutorial is a tutorial for me as well. So, meanwhile, Beast is telling me I'm brilliant, but I'm also a complete fucking idiot, too. Hey, Beast, since you're in the chat, you want to just join in on the conversation here, and we can talk about this? I'll do a fucking quick share screen with you. I'm sure because you've recently had some success with creating some of your videos. Now here was another attempt at. All right. Let me just go pick up the Beast from school. And welcome to the Beast. Hello, the Beast. So yeah, let's hash this out. So maybe I'm not entirely understanding what you're saying. So you're saying that like the Titantrons that you're making aren't working for your character's entrances at all?
Okay, so that's not really what I meant. I should have made it more clear. Hold on, I'm gonna do share screen, and then you'll understand. Just you could just put it on the side or something, maybe. But
right. Oh, see, now this is. Yeah, we might have to switch this back because it's made me have a completely like blue screen because I'm streaming right now, so that it's not going to see your share screen on my stream. But all right, where am I? Oh yeah, I'm on mine. Okay, go ahead. So you were saying.
like, just making the arena and then still having the Tron, so it's actually, because I know, like, you can have the pictures and shit, but how cool would it be if you could have, like, for example, the Match Mania Tron on the actual Match Mania arena?
Right. So like, well, I mean, are we talking like, so like when you're setting up the stage for the Titantron, you've got that option or whatever as far as like any sort of video content to either make it all custom all the time, videos and things like that, say like during entrances and customs during the matches, or just, I guess maybe just the video all the time. If you know what I'm talking about, that particular function.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what we're talking about here? Like, because I mean, that sounds like something that could be fixed with just finding where that is there, because that's that one weird menu when you're creating someone's entrance or whatever, or no, when you're creating an arena, that is, that allows you to kind of like, oh, well, you know what? Sometimes I don't feel like I'm really getting much out of the LED board at ringside, or the ring posts and stuff like that. And so, you know, if you just kind of keep those solid or whatever and stuff, because man, it gets kind of intricate once you really kind of like dive into it, and I forget a lot of these things sometimes, and so sometimes you'll see those weird video screens that are up at the top of like one of the stadiums, but it's like at the opposite side of the stage, and that one that hangs above the ring. Sometimes, I just can't seem to get the WWF fucking logo off of that shit for some reason, you know. And it's one of those things that goes neglected, where if you had actually chosen custom all the time, custom in entrance and regular during the match, you know, if you'd gone in there and done that, you might have been able to find something. And then you could also assign some video applications to it to kind of erase the WWF stuff. But I don't know. It usually, like, your video creator stuff usually isn't applied to anything other than the intro video and the Titantron during the entrance, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, which is sad.
Even though some of these video elements that you can use to create Titantrons, like, the default, like, green, red, purple, gold, those types of generic ones and stuff like that, you can find those just about everywhere. Okay, so this was just a thing that I made right here for me and Fusion to do our podcast last week, because I just wanted to have something on screen that wasn't, staring at the menu, right? So here, very simple. We're doing a podcast, so there's a microphone there. There's the title, and then that's going to cut away to show the names right there. Put in a slightly different spot. Looks nice, whatever. And then ultimately, all I had to do was just pause it on full screen or whatever. Sort of like how I did when we were on Blaze's Gathering podcast. And I was like, I kind of like positioned myself in front of my television so that I could have our Survivor Series graphic in the background. But the thing is,
so
like,
you use 2K for that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I went into, because the thing is that one of the funky things now is that it seems to be missing from the video editor now is ability to full screen everything. Like, I don't know where the full screen button is, or at least it used to be, right? But with that said, I had this video, right, and I full screened that graphic right there, paused it, but it was from the entrance creator. So when I went down into, like, the bottom layer there, where you could put a little pyro here or change the name graphic and stuff, I set somebody up with this in a video, went to the entrance creator, full screened the entrance so that it played the video full screen, paused it, and then sat in front of the TV for an hour until we finally talked to Blaze.
I mean, whatever you gotta do.
Yeah, I suppose I probably could have
done that shit, bro.
I probably could have screenshotted that or whatever, and just like done it like as like, my background.
Yeah, you could have just gone like into like gallery, or whatever the hell it's called in PlayStation, and
yeah. But dude, like, well, look at those 3 videos that. Because again, Fusion and I tried 3 times going live before we finally got going. And even on that 3rd time, by the time we started going live, he still wasn't on the show yet. But it's about maybe a couple of minutes in when he finally started to appear or whatever, as 2 fucking old codgers, man, trying to conquer technology. And man, just listening to us struggle is fucking hilarious. And you guys only heard
my day with that, bro.
You guys only heard half of it, because like the first 2 little short videos there and stuff, all you do is just hear me just struggling. Oh my god. All right, so I'm gonna make a video here just for the sake of the tutorial here. Where am I going?
Bro, I'm trying to make a The Beast Titantron right now, and you're probably gonna be laughing at the first scene.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely shown me that there's more potential to this than because again, obviously, my whole thing was like, look, there's just not enough, strength in this part of the programming here to try and create really fantastic, elaborate videos that say would fill up that entire timeline down there. Right, like maybe going back to 2K22 or 23, I would try to make them. I think 23 was very problematic for me. I didn't get a lot of time on 23 because I got locked out because of like licensing issues or something like that. I don't know what. I didn't have an event for months because of that shit. And anytime I would like, all right, well maybe this time, and I would do something huge, something like almost like 25, 30 seconds long, and it just like that red bar would just never move. It would just, and I mean, one time, dude, I mean, I even like made the video, went to work, 8 hours later, it still hadn't moved. So I was like, so that's just a flaw in the system. That's not me being overly ambitious. What I'm doing was just asking too much of the system that they have provided. So if you look at this, dude, really, it's just basically a very small video editing system, right? Like the kind of, I mean, it's even more minimal than something that you might get like when you buy like a laptop or something like that with like the, default, Windows Movie Maker type of shit. The main difference is that it actually comes pre-installed with a bunch of like video clips and visual stuff that you can use to kind of spruce things up, even though none of this shit has fucking changed or been added to since 2K18 as far as I can tell. Yeah, there's that fire. See, I like that fire plume right there. But most of the stuff I have no fucking use for. Do I really need like to see the blue flame on a gas stove? Like some of the stuff looked like this gothy stuff looks so Undertaker specific that I could probably never get away with using it. This stuff right here isn't so bad because there are other ways of using that visual thing, because that's in other spots, like in the show creation, for like transitions and things and backgrounds and stuff, right? So that you can kind of keep the background visual stuff kind of consistent. But like, I don't know, I've never really been able to create like the doll thing here. I might have used this light bulb once. I've definitely used this skull a few times. This shit's fucking awesome right here.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Like if you go back in the MVWF archives, like I think all I did was this. I used this video. I put the, I think it was called Trial by Fire. I just put the words over it or whatever, and that was it. And then I screenshotted it when the words came up and used that as the thumbnail. I've used this curtain thing before. I'm thinking about using it again. I'm a big fan of this show called Twin Peaks that was on back in the day, and there's like this weird like place that people go that it's just like rooms that are like red curtained off rooms, like it's just curtains for the walls or whatever of these rooms, and there's furniture in there and this weird tile on the floor or whatever and stuff, and everyone speaks backwards and shit when they're there. So anytime I see red curtains, I can't help but think of that fucking show because it's creepy as fuck. There's the modern stuff. That's something else you can get in other spots here. But meanwhile, like I guess maybe if you used like the 90s graphics, this would be the big tidal wave, because that's got kind of like a Surf's Up kind of vibe to it or whatever. But like the snake, this one I couldn't figure out, right? Because like this one just like it's just the snake just keeps going, but you never actually see the snake. You just see it leave.
Basically useless.
Yeah, I've used this before as part of like my Father Peace Titantron that I might have had a couple of games back. I had a really nice Brandon Bones Titantron that I've never gotten around to making again. But again, now that the intro videos are back, maybe some of this stuff might end up being a little bit more useful here. This is probably the shark one, if I'm not mistaken, right? When the shark comes out of nowhere.
You should give that to Kelly Mavericks if he ever ends up in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like follow this up with like, like put him in like some sort of like cutscene or whatever, and then just like cut to right when the shark opens its mouth to swallow him. That's actually a really good idea.
That is brilliant.
But yeah, so what I'm looking to do here is I'm looking to make an intro graphic for the Superman tournament, which I never got around to doing. Some of these cosmic ones are kind of nice, although I haven't used any of them in a really long time. But that's, again, this one right here, like the sparkles and things like that are the kind of things that you should not underestimate. Because, again, you've got something visually rich here, and it's transparent, which means that this is really not meant to be the thing that you're really communicating with until you combine it with something else. Right, so with that being a transparent thing, and this gold leafy kind of confetti thing is kind of like falling to the ground. What if the cityscape was behind this, or what if there was like images of like cash or something like that? If you're doing like $1 Million Man kind of gimmick guy, something like that. Hey Blaze, hey Tyrese, we're talking video creation today. So again, some of these things, like when you're just looking at them, bald-faced, just as they are, they don't necessarily lend themselves initially, and at least it's taken, and maybe I just might be speaking for myself here, but I look through some of this stuff going back to 2K18, I'm like, what the fuck can I do with this shit? You know what I mean? The fireworks, that one's very easy right there. Sparkle my ass, right? Like, but fireworks, like if you're doing like in a Great American Bash, 4th of July themed show or something like that, then bam, you've got exactly what you need right there.
Holy shit, I should have used that.
Yeah. Like these kind of lights here kind of suggest kind of like, oh, we're doing a show in Las Vegas or something like that. The glitz, the glamour or whatever, right?
Yeah, number 16 is always a good one to go to.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, that one could be cosmic. That one could be in that it's got the gold color and stuff. Could be, as something kind of symbolic for like wealth. Shit like that. Now, this stuff down here is where we get kind of like trippy, kind of kaleidoscope. Right? Like this one right here, again. Fame, paparazzi, flash bulbs, the media, attention, screams it right here, right? I mean, again, maybe not, I don't know what exactly you're going to combine with it, but it looks like a bunch of flash bulbs going off, Again, a fast lane type of show, whatever, right? If you want to do like, compare, your wrestling show to like motorsports or something like that. I mean, that's what they were kind of going for, reaching for when they had like a fast lane show. And of course, car metaphors aren't the only time they've ever really done that sort of thing. So you could use this for that sort of thing. You could cut from this shot right here, right? Clip it as like, say, like it passes like, 80, 120 miles an hour or whatever and stuff, and then cut to the exterior of the car. And then maybe like cut to like an explosion or something like that as you smash up the inside of this tunnel that they're in. But yeah, this one's just epilepsy right here. That's not good. Again, this looks like, knowing is half the battle, or kind of like this one here. These two are very similar in the respect that like it's kind of like a time lapse of traffic sort of thing as the cars speed by and all you see are they're kind of like streaking lights or whatever. There's plenty of that kind of stuff here that you could use to create a video.
Yeah, they freaking spoiled you for choice when it comes to like fast lane shit.
Yeah, but again, like embarrassment of riches though it may be, I mean, and then you got like a completely other different menu, right, of the alpha mass stuff, right? And this is really where you can get into the layered stuff. You like countdowns, right? Like the MVWO video has a countdown at the beginning that I need to fix. Curtains, we will reveal something. And then, of course, it's transparent back there. So let's say I put the MVWF logo back there, behind that curtain or something like that. I mean, this right here kind of looks like the intro to the old WCW Saturday Night Show or whatever. This is kind of similar to that, though, like something behind kind of like science fiction steel vault doors or whatever. I used this one before for this show called The Forgiven Door. It was right around the time that I started doing the Father Peace, Brain and Bones version of my gimmick and stuff, right? Which had a lot more of like a brother love kind of vibe to it or whatever. And I thought that these kind of look like doors, those double doors you always see in like churches or something like that. And they're pure heavenly white, you know. This one looks like death, like right here. You know what I mean? It's like this one's either like you're going like into the fucking Twilight Zone, or you're on your way to the Nether Realm because you just died. There's some other prison stuff that's on here that you could use in conjunction with this right here. The closing of the jail cell doors. You know, like the idea of like men fighting in enclosed spaces and stuff like that evokes like steel cage match kind of imagery. You know, things that you can kind of like thread together through maybe things that are like thematically relevant to like the rest of your show. So if you've got Hell in the Cell matches or Elimination Chamber matches, this looks like that. This looks like science fiction door right here. That looks like a terrifying door to walk through. Or someone's butthole. But again, more car stuff here. Explosion stuff here. See, right here, if you were here earlier and you saw the Cobra Kai video, this is like the two that I used for that case. One, the circular flame one, because the Cobra Kai logo is circular. And I like to keep it timed in such a way that the edges of the flames stay right over the edges of the Cobra Kai logo as it sails towards the screen. So you use the image of the Cobra Kai logo, layer the flaming circle over the top of it, give the Cobra Kai logo like a smidge in timing right behind the flame so that the logo keeps time with the flaming circle, but also stays kind of like right behind it up until that you're done when it leaves screen, and then you change to this one here, and then the Cobra Kai logo rises from the flames like a phoenix or something like that, right? This one I've used behind the MVWF logo before. More fireworks right here. Again, things that you could really layer on there to really kind of like make your super douche 4th of July celebration just that much more spectacular. But I think what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to go and pick a background and put Supermatch Tournament fucking over it. I've used this one before. This one is very visually striking. Even though it would be nice if like it lasted long enough to where like all those clouds would approach the camera and then engulf the camera's perspective, which would be a nice place to like do the transition to a different image at that point. Doing a show in Japan, you know, get on an airplane
for you, bro.
Yeah, get on an airplane, right? We're going to Japan. Traditional Japanese kind of on your way to the shrine kind of pathway, right? Fucking Rubik's Cube. But again, so understanding the visuals can give you kind of like a leg up and stuff like that. Like if you've ever taken an art class and stuff, I would definitely encourage you to do so that you can understand like colors represent things, images represent things, themes, ideas and stuff like that, things to push. It helps support the story that you're telling. And you don't get a lot of time with this stuff to get it on screen. But I'll tell you what, if you use that X-Pac during the intro before the guy makes his entrance, I mean, the camera kind of goes exclusively to the video, and I use that pretty excessively to essentially get my video stuff and my work on screen so that it's not just something that you're seeing in the background. You know, I don't really even need to use that for someone like Jeremy's entrance because he's on that pedestal being lowered down, and so much of the camera shots in his entrance also have the video right there in the background, and you can see his name, you can see the DJ stuff, you see all the transitions and stuff like that. So while I've given him that before, he really doesn't need it. Because again, sometimes, yeah, depending upon the entrance that you choose, the Titantron is way far in the background, or sometimes it's almost a character in the entrance. And so, you know, use your best judgment on that as far as how you employ that. Let's see here.
So easy making the JP Tron.
Yeah, you just got to do shit with flags. You know, I mean, and there's plenty of that stuff on here.
Yeah, honestly, when I first did the JP Tron, all I did was make him do the right to bear arms to Andrew Dubs. I highlighted that, made it a scene, and I just spammed that shit in the Tron, and it just had a lot of stars and shit.
Now, here's one of the first things that really got me going as far as making this work, is understanding this part right here. And it seems almost excessive, like something they could have done with just like one button, but you've got a couple of them here. So what I just did there is I've got that yellow little arrow pointing at the part. That's the start point. I hit that left button. I hit the left directional button right there, and then point accept with the X button. That's where it's going to start. And so I can move it in the timeline. I've got 24 seconds of this stuff right here. And I can go all the way, let's say I want to make it like 6 seconds. No, well, you know what, though? Because your videos and your intro, this is supposed to be for an intro video, so yours has been going. How long is the one that you're using right now for your show intro now, the one for Carnage?
Let me take a look.
Is it more than 10 seconds?
I think, yeah. I think it's like 12 long.
All right, I'm going to go 12 seconds. Because I almost missed when I realized that was working for you. I had to try and scramble, but I didn't quite get there to kind of like time just how long your intro video was actually being shown on screen. Because if you go through this 17 seconds, that's not bad, man. That's not bad for like, because you get to rest with it a little bit, you know. 17 seconds is a long time. All right, so I'm going to do that.
It depends on what you... I mean, you could try 24 seconds, but I can't guarantee it'll work.
Yeah. All right, maybe I'll just go down to like 16. All right. So, and now, here. Now, you see, so I've moved it all the way, all of 1596. Endpoint on the right button, point accept, then accept. And now it's going to edit out everything between the start point and the end point. That's how I got the Dragonheart video to work, to cut out all of the references to Dragon Lee. And so it gave me a much shorter video that I could use, and then use that nice little piece of it without any images that I didn't want as a part of it. All right, so we're going to use this one here again, apply, because again, I definitely want the MVWF in there. Now, this menu here, I've been trying to get to through this whole video here, and man, I got to tell you, I don't like fucking 90% of them. Right? Like, this one, and I end up using this one all the time. Because it's dramatic, you get to see it, right? But this one, zoom, 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 zoom. Like, I guess maybe if I'm doing like the car theme show, that might be a reason to use it. But that's, when have I done a car theme show? I mean, so you know what I mean? So it's been useless to me. Look at this one. What the fuck is that? Right? This one, you can't really even see it. This one, I've used in certain circumstances, but usually not from like my logo. This one I've used a couple of times. This one is just visual vomit. And this one right here is definitely one you don't want to undersell. It's just sitting there showing the fucking words. Great. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's exactly what you need. But some of these ones, there's one on here where it like hops around or something, right?
That shit's so annoying.
Oh, maybe they got rid of it or something. I don't know. Like I could see ECW using something like this because of how off kilter and rogue it is. But again, that's the visual language of ECW was always in its day trying to show you how different they were and how separate apart they were from what WCW would decide to do and what WWF would decide to do. There we go. That's what the fuck, dude. Like, what could I possibly do with that one right there? You know, I mean, that's just putting that one in there is like people who've never done television production trying to come up with things that are visually different from each other. Yeah, it's different from this one, but look at that. I mean, this one's it's so juvenile. The
only thing you could do with that is being like a cartoon ass robber in the image, bro.
Yeah. Again, so I suppose this one I'm not as familiar with right here, but I suppose this one could probably be useful here. Rising from the bottom is also not that bad, but again, you really only have a few seconds with it or whatever and stuff. So the problem with it is, like, let's say I chose this one here, right? It's 1.43 seconds long. For one go at this animation. So in order to do something with that, I would actually have to expand it to make it go on, which means it just loops and does the same thing over and over and over again, and it's not great. So ultimately, I end up sticking with this one right here because it just is the one that seemingly makes the most sense. And
fair enough.
Yeah.
My go-to. I pick the straight one because I think the text just gets in the way and shit.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want another one that says Super Match Tournament.
What do you mean not enough space? Bruh.
Bruh. So again, another limitation here is that when it comes, lettering and stuff is great and all, but there's not a lot of fonts, and that's not great. And it would be nice if I could remember which font I used on the railing. I think I used this one here. I think I've got it in red. So I'm also reducing the opacity here a little bit, just a little bit, because if I'm going to have those flash bulbs going off in the background, having the light from those flash bulbs penetrate through the letters, even though you can still see them, could be a way to give something kind of visually interesting going on. I probably could have done it a little bit more than that, though. All right, so now I need the word tournament. Another thing I find very annoying is that sometimes when you want to capitalize words, you use the left stick, and then sometimes you use the L2 button. Fuck you, PlayStation.
Sorry for crashing it.
It's all right, brother. Are you currently working on something that's not working?
Apparently there's not enough save slots, even though I just deleted like 20. All
right, there you see, I basically got it all assembled here. And MVWF, the flashbulbs, you know, that's who you're watching. This is the show they're putting on. Tournament, everything's famous and glorious. Supermatch tournament, right? And then to break up the visual monotony, I kind of like decided to bookend the MVWF logo at each end of the video here, between where I've got it saying Supermatch tournament twice, so you can rest with that for a second. And you know, now you've got your intro. Okay, I don't really feel like I need any transitions here because it's completely black background and stuff, and the flashbulbs are doing a nice job of letting things transition themselves. So I'm just gonna Supermatch tournament. All right, and now we're gonna save this shit. Fairly simple video creation here. Nothing too complicated stuff. Just something I need for later today to put on my show as an intro. Okay.
You're going live today?
You know what? I'm honestly waffling on it and stuff because it was a long week at work, bro. Fuck. They've been kicking my ass. Yeah, they've been kicking my ass, man. Oh, yeah? Yeah, you've worked the night shift before? Or is that just something that your dad's been through or something like that?
Yeah.
I get it, man. When I was married, my ex-wife and I and stuff like that, she had kids and stuff, and we had to, she would work an evening shift or whatever, so she'd leave about maybe like 3, 4 in the afternoon, all coincidentally all about the same time that the kids were getting home from school. But also coincidentally, I worked like 7 to 3:30 or whatever and stuff. So I would be, my father-in-law lived right next door in the duplex that we own, and so he would just kind of be there to make sure that everyone got in the house and started doing their homework, and then he would go fuck off and smoke weed for the rest of the day until I got home. And, I would make dinner or whatever and stuff like that. So that shit would be kind of like on me. But my wife would be, ex-wife would be on her way to work at that point. And that's just sometimes the way you got to do it or whatever, because like you can't always both be there if you're the expenses of what costs to live your life. It requires 2 incomes just to get there, But yeah, it's hard out here.
Do what you gotta do, so.
Yeah, it's hard out here for a pimp. But anyway, so that was my my video tutorial here. Thank you, Beast, for joining us here on this. I am going to sign off of the stream here for the moment. There may or may not be an MVWF stream here later on today and stuff. We'll see how I'm feeling about it. I am pretty fucking tapped out. If not today, it will be tomorrow, though.
If you want, I can help you with commentary.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
I have nothing better to do.
Yeah, the next event is going to be the rest of the Supermatch tournament. We've got 5 matches scheduled with the remaining 10 competitors out of 32 that are still in this thing. And
wait, am I still on this? Or?
No, you were not in the tournament at all. Because you had the title shot already scheduled, and this tournament is for getting a title shot. Tyrese is also not in the tournament too, because he has the unique opportunity briefcase. So it's kind of like kept you off of TV for a few episodes and stuff, and for a couple of weeks now, because it's 4 shows in now, whatever, over the last 2 weeks. So like certain people couldn't be in it because again, there were 32 spots on this show, so there was plenty of people I could have put in it. And the Jeremy started this tournament as champion. You do put the Supermatch tournament is designed to have the champion in it. Similar to the G1 Climax tournament, like they just finished up in Japan. But yeah, because again, most of the time, you don't really want to put your champion in a tournament. And this is just my booking philosophy right here. Because again, I'm not opposed entirely to champions having non-title matches, like one-on-one, sometimes you do it as a number 1 contender sort of thing. Sometimes you put them in the ring with like a jobber or something like that just to get them on TV. In fact, I'm actually thinking about doing that with you. Is like putting you and Jimmy Controversy in the ring or something like that. But of course, that's always the fucking risk, though, dude.
I get paid either way, so.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And the likelihood of Jimmy Controversy beating you, especially where in universe mode you're like the hot shit right now, you know, it's very unlikely, and you get a win on TV and stuff like that. And, you know, I mean, good job, Jimmy Controversy. You make him look good for a second and then squash him with a cyclone kick, you know? At least that's my expectation. But sometimes Jimmy Controversy wins.
If he wins
somehow,
against me, I don't know what to tell you, but
yeah. You know what? And so it's not something that I would do every day, but it is booking wise. It is something that I've been thinking about. I may end up not doing it because again, booking you right now that I've got the owner of the EWF as my MVWF champion. You know, I do, from a storyline standpoint, have to kind of tread lightly, right? Because I can't, if this is a cooperative and everybody's being on the up and up about this sort of shit or whatever, even in how, never mind like what goes on behind the scenes, what goes on screen is just as important in that respect that, like, you be respected as champion. Because, I mean, we've watched enough WWE over the years to know that just because you're the champion, Jinder Mahal, just because you're the champion, Sheamus, just because, you know what I mean? Just because you're a champion for a second, Finn Balor, doesn't mean the fucking company respects you. Just ask Daniel Bryan, you know? Or sees you at that championship level. They just had to throw a bone to the audience, even though they have no intention of putting the machine behind that person with, like, the merchandising and stuff like that, to the degree that they would for some other people that they would prefer be in that spot. Brock Lesnar, John Cena. Randy Orton.
if only Daniel Bryan had the muscles, then he'd probably be champion for a lot longer, according to Vince, probably.
I underestimate sometimes just how old you are and stuff, because I remember 2013. And I remember Daniel Bryan being on Raw and SmackDown every fucking show and just killing it, dude, and beating the fucking shit out of himself, like, week in and week out. There was that episode during the feud with Randy Orton, and he did that dive outside the ring and he got the stinger and he almost got into a real fight with Triple H backstage because they wanted to stop the match. But look at what this fucking dude had to do to his body in order to compensate for their fucking size queenism. You know, they want big fucking bulky hosses and stuff like that. But if you're Mason Ryans, do you even remember who Mason Ryan even is?
Probably a jobber from the 2000s who was bulky as fuck.
Not like big dude. They put a lot of money behind him. He just didn't get it, you know, because it wasn't something that was to the taste of the current wrestling fan at that time. And he also, his big man style, he wasn't good at that either. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, there is a way to do the big man style that WWF prefers and do it well. Just most of the time, the guys they've chosen to do it well don't. And so, meanwhile, all those Ring of Honor guys like Punk and Bryan that were coming up and stuff like that, you know, Punk is probably the most successful, unathletic person I've ever seen in this fucking business. And Bryan is someone who became athletic in spite of the fact that he was not an athlete as a kid. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, so they compensated for creativity and the ability and willingness to sacrifice their bodies. And so, ultimately, the thing to remember about WrestleMania 30, in spite of the fact that Bryan doesn't really hold it in regards as high as he does the match with Swerve at the stadium there, you know, because he had, you know, his dad died and he got married, and, you know, it was very stressful, you know, a time in his life or whatever. And by the way, he was slotted in to carry the entire fucking show, because if they didn't, the Superdome would have turned, that it would have been the worst WrestleMania of all time if they didn't decide to do that. They had a gun to their head. The fans had a gun to their head to make them do it. They never would have done that after the SummerSlam show where it was Bryan against Cena and they had that fucking awesome match or whatever. But the buy rate, because again, it was still more focused on pay-per-view at the time, because the network was right around the corner. And Bryan got blamed for the buy rate. It's like, but motherfuckers, no one believed that you would actually... if you did book him to win, that you would even get behind him. And that was totally validated, because immediately afterwards, it was Alberto. No. or was it Randy? Somebody cashed in on him or whatever. Right, at SummerSlam, because Triple H was the referee, gave him the pedigree. Yeah, it was Randy Orton or whatever and stuff, and they immediately handed the belt to Randy Orton. Their default fucking setting. You know what I mean? And it's just like, so A, the fans were right not to waste their money on a show they knew that ultimately wasn't going to pay off for them. And B, it was not for the fucking reasons that the company was applying to the person that they slotted in that spot to defeat Cena, because they did pull the trigger on it. Because he had fun tearing it up, the summer of 2013 or whatever. I mean, the Shield was in there. So many great six-man tags and stuff like that. It's really an underrated period as far as like in-ring stuff. Go look up that gauntlet match that Bryan did against, I want to say, it ended with Ryback. And Claudio, or rather Cesaro, went like 20 fucking minutes. And I want to say maybe Sheamus was the first one, right? Like he rolled him up, beat Sheamus, then went 20 minutes with Cesaro. Ryback comes out, immediately power bombs him through a fucking table. And like on his fucking already broken neck at this point. You know what I mean? And Bryan's so fucking awesome, dude. Like, no shit. But anyhow, don't mean to get on a rant today, but yeah, fucking Daniel Bryan was the shit. Have you ever seen any of that the original NXT stuff? When they brought him in as the Mrs. Rookie?
Yeah.
Dude,
the reason I know what that is because of the showcase for 2K19, though.
Oh, really? Okay. I barely remember 2K19 or whatever. But yes, because I never played the game. I just created my shit. But yeah, man, like you got to figure, right? Bryan, Ring of Honor champion, made a company bigger than it was, an independent company or whatever, in a void where there was no competition against the big league. And they bring him in, and they immediately put him in there with a guy, and they call him his rookie, and he's got 5 years less experience. In-ring experience than he does. It wasn't just a slap in the face to Bryan. It was a slap in the face to me. And then he lost like 10 fucking matches in a row, dude. He lost to a chop to the head for Great Khali. I'm like, fuck you. And then they fucking fired him.
They wanted him to fail at that point, bro.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, they say that Vince doesn't watch anything else or whatever, but Vince seemed to had caught wind through the grapevine that after Bryan's first match against Jericho, who was the world champion at that point, and they only went about 7 minutes, but it was a barn burner of 7 minutes, and Jericho went back there and tells a story on his podcast about how he was like, dude, this is your guy. He doesn't even eat meat. Yeah, but it's not like the guy isn't, jacked for a guy that's fucking 5'8", he's in fucking incredible shape. He did kind of have a bad haircut at that point, though. and again, haircuts seem so arbitrary and not important, but they are important. Yeah, again, how you look on screen is so fucking important, man. But what a bizarre time or whatever, where it was like the fans versus WWE, and now we've got, and as a result of that was the garden in which they planted the seeds for Roman Reigns. The guy they really wanted.
Yeah, now it's still fans versus WWE, but now it's like, please don't book this motherfucker instead of please book this motherfucker.
Yeah. I haven't watched WWE in several years now. And for years prior to that, I definitely couldn't keep up with the weekly shows anymore. Whereas in my younger years, I'd set my VCR, to record it or whatever and stuff like that, and I'd watch it afterwards if I had like a night shift job that I was doing or whatever. Pay-per-views or whatever. Dude, I had a cable descrambler during the Attitude Era. I didn't pay for a fucking pay-per-view during the most moneyest-makingest time that they had up until that fucking point, So, the famous Goldberg, that Halloween Havoc that got cut off, like right before, because like it had Hogan Warrior 3 on it with the botched fireball, and then That was the last thing, because again, the show went long or whatever, and they only had like a 3-hour window to do their pay-per-views on it, which is why they generally always ended at like 10:52 rather than 11 o'clock. They went into overtime, and for those that paid for the pay-per-view, they got cut off because you had that window for that pay-per-view channel to be unscrambled for you to be able to watch it. But for me, who had the cable descrambler, they just kept broadcasting, and I just kept watching. So it didn't affect, well, what's everybody mad about? And then they re-showed DDP and Goldberg, which is probably Goldberg's best match. Something he really should hang his hat on as far as being kind of like proud of, because at least he didn't hurt anybody. Much less himself, by the way, right? And they had a barn burner match. They showed it on a Nitro the next night because they had to do like a make good or whatever. Because what was true for me was definitely not true for apparently like the rest of the world. But I got every ECW pay-per-view for free. Up to and including the one that's not on the network right now, which is Heatwave 98, which has that segment where like the Dudleys would do like a 15-minute promo before every one of their matches where they would just try and start a riot with the crowd. Unbreakable Ryan Doyle, by the way, I'll send you a picture of it. I have this flyer from an ECW show that, I shit you not, dude, took place at this ice rink. I walked there right up the street from my very first apartment. And it was Sabu and Rob Van Dam against Lance Storm and Justin Credible for the tag titles in the main event. There wasn't much for New Jack to jump off that was high because it's an ice rink or whatever. It's not really built that like an arena or anything like that. But the Dudleys had come out, and Devon had spit his gum at Doyle. And said something like "fuck your mama" or some shit like that or whatever. And then Doyle's like really fucking Irish and really sensitive about his mom. And so Doyle kind of like took a dive at Devon or whatever, and then security threw him out, or at least they told him to leave, and he left. And the crowd cheered Doyle on the way out the door. He walked around the building, came back in the front door, and then sat back down in his seat. And that's when he actually...
was that simple.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the security at the ECW show was a fucking joke. Yeah, I went to a couple of ECW shows, actually. Maybe three or four. There's a like a little theater, like a lot of like there's like a beach area in New Hampshire called Hampton Beach. And, it's where everyone hangs out during the summertime or whatever. I almost got killed there once, getting caught in a riptide. Long story, but not the story. But there's a place called the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. And so, like, if you're in a rock band or whatever and stuff, that, like, kind of is, like, way past its prime, this is the kind of venue you can play in. And ECW did a show in this place before. I can't even believe they fit the ring in here, right? And all the entrances, like the ring was right up against the stage where the bands usually play. And so, like, and when you're in the ring, and they used a regular size, not maybe like a WWF size ring or whatever, which is like 20 by 20, but they used like maybe like an 18 by 18 ring or whatever, which is small by comparison. And the size of the WCW ring during the Nitro days, because they used a smaller ring. And it was Spike Dudley versus Rob Van Dam in the main event or whatever. And dude, I really fucking blew it, because as I was standing in my spot or whatever, I was kind of like at the back of the crowd or whatever. Bubba Ray was over watching the show by one of the emergency exit doors. Paul Heyman was over there, and I really wish I'd gone over to talk to Paul Lee. But I was too fucking scared to do so, whatever. But they were just, I don't know, they just kind of gave off a vibe like they were observing the show for the sake of, I mean, they're the boss, so, and Bubba was kind of ECW management behind the scenes too. And I was not going to approach Bubba because I believe that dude is who he played on TV. So I didn't think he would be all that cool to me. So I don't know how Paul Lee would have reacted, but I definitely missed my shot to talk to one of them. Plus, I don't know. I'm not really all that interested in talking to famous people just because they're famous.
So they just probably would have cussed you out.
Maybe. I mean, I went to the same high school as Jay Leno did, and he was friends with some of the teachers or whatever, and he came in, like, I want to say, like, he came in and hung out for the day, like, maybe somewhere early in my junior year or something like that at high school. And so I'm being kind of like a mopey teenager or whatever. I'm like, puberty, girls. And I come around the corner. I walked right into him, dude. Dunk. And oh, hey, buddy, watch where you're going or whatever. And he had like this whole like entourage of kids and teachers that were all following him around or whatever. And I was like, oh, Jay Leno, wow, your head's big. And I just kept walking. I didn't say that to him. That's just what I thought. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't even know if I even apologized to him or whatever and stuff, but yeah, he's the only famous person that really came out of my school. All right, well, I tried to do a closer on this like 10 minutes ago, maybe 20 minutes ago. All right, I'm going to cut the stream off here, Beastie. Let's see here. We don't need to be online anymore.